This is today's date, and this is the start of festival season. Now if you're following this series, you'll know we need to have an hour set ready by then. And well, we're currently only a third of the way to that goal, and it's taken us 6 months. And on top of that, we actually need to get booked. So using our current rate, we'd have an hour set in... this time next year. And it's not just that we need to get the live set done for festival season, we're going to need to get some practice gigs under our belt too. So with time running out, I'm going to have to use every trick in the book to get back on track. Otherwise, the dream's over. So let's think smaller scale. How can I make this more manageable? What if we tackle 2 tracks, let's say by the 15th? That get us over halfway and give us the motivation to keep going. 2 tracks in 2 weeks. That seems doable. Okay, so it's the 4th today and I've got a bit of a confession. I haven't actually done anything in the last 2 days. I've really shot myself in the foot here because I didn't plan for the fact that my birthday's on the 2nd. I just turned 28 and now I can't hack hangovers anymore, so the 3rd was a write-off as well. I've now got 10 days to write 2 tracks. There is, however, a plus, and that is that I've written a fair amount of this one today, and some of that is down to the fact that I kind of have an idea of what I want from this one because I'm aiming for it to be the first track in the set, and I want it to kind of encapsulate the whole set in its entirety in just the track alone. So I want to have a little bit of bouncy, fun, housiness, some mysterious progginess, and some bliss, chilled out moments as well. And for this one I started with the pads, and for a while I assumed I didn't have the right VSTs or I didn't have the right synths to write good pads and I needed Omnisphere or something like that. I think I've just realised I'm not very good at programming chord progressions. On top of that, I wrote the drums in the syntax and introduced a nice vocal performance synth which plays every other bar. And the final thing I did with the syntax was write a sub bass which follows along with the pad. And now for the second part of this 3-act structure, the switch up into a mysterious proggy-like sound. I created 2 bass patches which work as a nice counterpoint to the chilled out melody of the first section. So hopefully we can make up those 2 missed days. We definitely need to write the 3rd section of this, and there's certainly something missing from the first 2 as well. I don't necessarily know what it is, maybe a melodic line or some extra drums or something, because this track really needs to stand out. Alright, it is the next day. I've bailed myself out here big time because I managed to get a fair amount done. I think we've realistically got the 3-act structure that I was talking about yesterday. And the thing that I kind of think was missing was the energy from the drums. I think it needed to be supplemented by some doubling up. I've introduced these additional drums which just help drive the track so much more. So you'll hear that when I play the whole thing together. We've then got a little blissed out section and then into our main element. But quite a lot of the tracks I've been listening to recently have been using just a classic like grand piano playing like some staccato-y style chord progressions. So I gave it a go and this is kind of what I've been left with. And just like that, we kind of had the first track laid out. I was a little bit apprehensive yesterday, having not done anything the last 2 days, and so we're in a really good spot. Remember this optimism for later. Now throughout this week, I'm also going to be sending off some emails to festivals. I've even applied for Glastonbury's Emerging Artists competition, so fingers crossed. Okay, so I'm currently working on the breakdown of the track, and so I found this vocal from a 1976 documentary on the psychic phenomenon. It's got some interesting phrases in there, and I was kind of looking for something a little bit more chilled, a bit dreamier. Let me know what you guys think.
Spirit of the soul.
So as you can see, I've grabbed some of the phrases from the documentary and I've just added a load of effects on them. And together it sounds like this.
Spirit.
There's obviously still more that I want to add to this. Instead of stopping and maybe slowing down, I might just carry on and try and work on the next track. So we'll see how that goes. It didn't go well. I spent the morning applying for festival after festival, and then when I got around to making music, I got stuck in the session view, jamming out new ideas for tracks, but nothing really stuck. And so, at insult to injury, I've heard nothing back from any of the applications I've sent out this last couple of weeks. After yesterday's masterclass on unproductivity, I'm getting a little concerned that this project is not going to get done, and sometimes you have to pull up the big guns, maybe going back to a track you've previously written. So I wrote this track called Butter Magic, which I liked about 6 months ago. I think it's missing a lot of elements. You know, it's a song at 137 BPM, but it doesn't have to feel slow. As you can hear, the main melody elements I'm quite pleased with because there's quite a lot of variation going on here, and there's a lot of material to work with if we take them into a new track. As well as that, I kind of enjoy the breakdown. I think that the vocal really sits well with where the track goes.
I don't want to explain, I am not in the mood.
As you can hear, it's a nice counterpoint to the energetic melody. There are, however, a lot of problems with this track. The main one being that the energy kind of sucks. And so instead of working on this project in the arrangement view, what I'm going to try and do is start a new project and then start bringing elements in one by one until I get the same vibe of the last track, but something that sounds a little bit better and hopefully has a lot more energy and groove to it. This has gone surprisingly well. I started this by duplicating the first track that we made in this video, which is obviously still in the loop stage, just to use as a basis to then create a new track. After copying that across, I then brought in some of the elements from the old song that I wrote 6 months ago, and I think it's actually pretty good. So here's kind of the bass line that I've written with the old elements. Kind of got the energy that the old track was missing. So now if we introduce back our organ and chord stabs, it sounds like this. So yeah, I think we're on to a winner here. The first thing I'll do is probably add some B sections, including the bit with the vocal that I liked in the last one. But that's a job for tomorrow. It was not a job for tomorrow. In fact, it took me a whole 3 days to get back on track. Oh, every time I feel confident we're going to get this project done in time, it just seems to slip away from me. We've got 2 tracks written, but they're still only in the session view, and this one is barely even finished. So this is the main section that we've got currently, which I'm really happy with. I feel like we've managed to fill in all of the elements which I didn't particularly like about the old version of it. Then we've got this kind of B section. We've been able to bring over the wobs from the previous version of the track. And then one of my favourite parts about the old track, the vocal section.
I don't want to explain, I am not in the mood. I don't want to explain why I do the things you would never do.
There's enough content there to make a track. I was thinking actually, we have already arranged this one before, so if we're really pushed for time, I can just use that as a guideline. But I guess I just need to get going. And so, with 3 days left, I powered on, through day and night, crafting musical and email-based masterpieces in order to get us to the promised land. And with the deadline approaching, would we have anything to show for the blood, sweat and tears we put into this project? So the 15th has been and gone, and I'm sure the question hot on everyone's lips is, did I finish the 2 tracks that I intended to finish? Well, yes and no. I have finished both tracks and they have been arranged. I haven't broken them back down though into stems and put them into my live set. But that was never really the intention anyway. I just wanted to force myself to create 2 tracks to get myself further along the process of getting this live set together. And I've actually gone one further because I've turned the intro track, which I was writing at the start of this video, into 2 tracks, or one extended track, which is 12 minutes long, and the other one is 8. And so we've gone from 20 minutes worth of music to 40 minutes. You know, it's a real takeaway from this, because I think if you're struggling with some creative block, or maybe you just, really want to get making music, but get caught up on all the small things, it's not a bad idea to give yourself a little bit of a time limit. So if you're ever in that situation, consider giving that a go, because honestly, it helped me out a load. Now, I'm sure you're probably curious as to the bits that I've added to that first track, and so I found an extra vocal sample. I added a nice arpeggiated synth line, and also created a cool sample and hold style synth from the Syntax as well. So I'll quickly play that for you guys now. So as you can hear, I added this nice patch from the Syntax, which I can kind of mess with the filter live to introduce some higher frequencies, which nicely echo out. And this is the new vocal, which I found from an interview with a hippie. And I actually didn't get rid of the previous vocal, as you can hear, is already in this track as well. And actually they play nicely together, and there's points where I overlap the two so that they kind of act as a call and response. And you've got that nice arpeggiated synth, which is driving the track forwards. as this track develops, we go into the part which I was writing at the start of the video, and the more dancey and upbeat part of the track. See here, you can hear both of the vocals kind of corner responsing. And just like that, I managed to turn the original track that I've written into a 12-minute track, which encapsulates everything about the live set: atmospheric, dancey, fun, wonky. Oh yeah, and I haven't forgot about the other track, Butter Magic. Since we last checked in, I was kind of working out whether I would write this new amazing arrangement for it, or if I would just be lazy and use the old arrangement that I wrote for the track. And you guessed it, I used the old arrangement, but I think it was a pretty good job back then, and I'm still happy with where it's at now. This one's just got a great energy about it, and at 1:37 it's probably the perfect track to finish the set on. So when all's said and done, I still need to find a festival to play this bad boy at. I started this video a bit concerned that I wouldn't have an hour's worth of music by then, but now I'm a bit concerned I might not actually have a festival. As you can see in the video, I applied for a fair few and I haven't heard anything back yet. Our whole dream could be in jeopardy if we don't hear anything. Oh, wait a minute.